which is really your territory, Darrell, as much as anybody's on this panel, and that's really the role of an agent. And does a game composer really need one?
I get asked that quite a lot. Depends how ambitious you are. Challenging answer to that. As a course of a career, this business, all the business, film, TV, games, composing for adverts, it's highly political. It's highly political. Whether you reach a decision and turn left or right, it needs to be talked over by somebody you trust and who understands the business and can give you the best advice. A lot of my business is not just trying to find work for composers. I think a lot of composers wish that's all an agent does, gets you lots of work. I'm going to proudly stand here and say, yes, we have successfully changed a number of composers' lives through getting them work they didn't expect on some pretty massive video games, some pretty massive films and TV. We have a department that just searches for projects for our clients. I think we're the only company in the world that has that. Now, the gaming world is very different for a particular reason, in that it's incredibly secretive. And it's a massive frustration for myself personally, because if Tom Cruise is going to make a film, boy, you're going to hear about it a year beforehand. And you know who's going to make it, Paramount. You know the producers. You know the music department. You can send your clients reels off and say, how about this composer? The gaming industry is so shrouded in secrecy that sometimes you don't know a game's been made till it comes out. So it is, that element of it is deeply frustrating for a number of games companies and a lot of agents. I speak to a lot of agents, we find that. But whether a composer needs an agent or not, it has to be a massive yes. I think listening to Olivier talk earlier, it struck me that this thing about being a musician, you have to have, in order to be free and compose and create, you've got to have a fantastic technique. And you've got to, at a certain point, just let your technique your music take over from the technique. And that's what makes a great musician. Your technique has to be automatic. And if you like, I was thinking, I mean, what I do and what my team does is we're a part of that technique. We're a business technique. So a lot of my best clients use us to sort out the negotiations, the decisions, the contracts. You know, there's a lot of that. Chasing up the invoicing, booking the studios, the orchestra, the soundtracks, the publishing. I mean, it goes on and on and on. How you can think you can do that on your own is a mystery to me. You can't. And a lot of those people, yet it depends, you know, a lot of those composers, I think, start out thinking they can do it alone, but when they get to a certain level, they realize they need somebody who knows what they're doing, a shoulder to cry on, a shoulder to moan on. It's psychological therapy half the time. But it is a very, very important factor. And I think sometimes agents need to stand up. A lot of the time you don't know what we do, but we do a hell of a lot. Look at me, I'm knackered. I mean, genuinely, we work with companies all around the world these days, and the number of times we have a fantastic websites, and a lot of those companies look at our websites and they listen to the composers and they ring us up and say, we have no idea who we want to use, but this is what we're looking for, who do you suggest? And that's the perfect answer. So yes is the answer to your question.
Alastair, Richard, maybe you could jump in here. I was just wondering also that, is it right that in some of the larger companies, like the Microsofts and the Sonys and the EAs, and actually won't do business directly with the composer necessarily? They may talk to them, but they won't necessarily.
For us, it makes no difference. And I think actually, I totally echo what Darrell says. If we're dealing direct with a composer and it is a big project and time is going to be taken away doing business side of stuff, then actually, I don't know, that you want them focused on writing the music. So if they have an agent, that's better. I mean, on a small project, I mean, it wouldn't put us off, what I'm saying. And it's all about the talent, really, and whether they can deliver and stuff, from my point.
Yeah, I think certainly, you know, a very large publisher on a very big game with a very large budget would kind of almost expect you to have an agent because, you know, that's just how it works, really. For me personally, my agent it's like Darrell said, that relationship is really important. so that the composer can just create. That's what we do. That's what I do. And my agent helps with, doing the deal, doing the contracts, help me getting paid, etc. And I can just focus on the creative side, because it's a very different side of the brain, really, and I can't do both at the same time, especially in the same day. I might, do a bit of bookkeeping at the weekend, but it's really important. So it's like I've got a team behind me, supporting me, helping me, so that I'm able to create, and that's kind of what I do best, really.
Just one more point. Sometimes the relationship between developer, publisher, and composer goes wrong. And sometimes, they will ring me up and say things to me they can't say to my client. So I'm like a translator. So you can put out a fire before it burns too intensely. And that happens a fair amount. I could be careful what I say right now. I think this is being recorded. But there have been a number of occasions where my composer hasn't got it musically, or relationship is grating. And I'll get a friendly-ish call from the producer or the audio director just saying, we're slightly feeling this is wrong. So I will then talk to the composer, who'll not realise anything's happened at all, and then change his ways or her ways, and then things will be better. So it is an important point that sometimes they need somebody else to talk to. So that was it.
Yeah, and presumably it's a good thing to keep the composer having a creative conversation and not getting that mixed up with negotiating fees. And okay.